Hey guys, this is Spartacus here, and welcome back to another XDefiant video. I wanted to upload this not long after my last XDefiant video, but I'm glad I waited longer because on July 7th, Mark Rubin, who of course is the executive producer at Ubisoft in San Francisco, he's pretty much been the face of XDefiant right now because he's been really doing a great job communicating with everybody's feedback and opinions about the game. I mean, he's really been active out there on Twitter and responding to everybody about concerns and issues with the game and even positive feedback as well. So I really do give Mark Rubin props for that. And so anyway, on July 7th, he tweeted out saying that they're working on making a candidate master for XDefiant, basically meaning a final build for the game, and that they plan on releasing the game later this summer. So they still want to release the game this summer. They mentioned that before, but we still don't have an official day of when this will actually be released, and I don't know exactly what the time frame, if I were to guess, I don't know what the exact day would actually be, but you know, we're already in July right now, so when they say later this summer, you know, what does that mean? Like end of July? Is it going to come out in August? Is the last day of summer in September? I have no idea, but we don't really have that much of summer left technically, and so I really do wonder like when exactly they do plan on releasing this. But I also want to throw out there that it's possible that they could still delay this game and it might come out in the fall, or maybe it'll come out in the winter time after January. I don't know, but I want to point out probably the biggest mistake that we see with XDefiant right now in relation to what we see Mark Rubin just tweet out here on July 7th, and that its release date is coming out before the next annual Call of Duty title, which is, of course, supposed to be Modern Warfare 3, right? It's not official yet, but at this point, we all know it's going to be Modern Warfare 3 based on the leaks and rumors that we've been getting. And so if this game does indeed release before Modern Warfare 3, the next Call of Duty title, I have a bad feeling that XDefiant is not going to get its success that it deserves. And I say this because we've seen this happen before. We've seen many competitors for Call of Duty like come out before the next Call of Duty title. And so once that next Call of Duty title releases, everybody just goes back to Call of Duty and forgets about that competitor, whether that's Battlefield, whether it's some other first-person shooter genre. You could say Halo, for example. Like Halo Infinite did come out like around the same time as Battlefield 2042 and Vanguard, you know, and so, you know, I could give off of a lot of different examples, and I'll actually give off an example right now that isn't in relation with Call of Duty. I would argue that there was this one particular game, I could say it would be more of a competitor with Halo rather than Call of Duty, and that game is Splitgate. Does anybody remember what Splitgate is? That game was pretty much Halo with portals, right? Very unique concept, actually, and I thought it was a very interesting gameplay element to introduce within the kind of arena or shooter genre, right? You know, but the thing about Splitgate is that they released it before Halo Infinite, which I thought was a huge mistake on their part because, you know, this is kind of a smaller development team who's creating Splitgate, and, you know, they don't have as much resources and as a big of a budget as probably they had with Halo Infinite, right? Bungie doesn't actually do Halo Infinite for anymore, isn't it? 343 Industries? Anyway, I can't keep up with that. I don't really pay much attention to Halo anyway, but regardless, you know, Splitgate was completely forgot about once Halo Infinite's multiplayer came out and then eventually its campaign, right? Halo Infinite totally took the scene back over, and that's exactly how I see what's going to happen with Call of Duty. It doesn't matter how shitty the next Call of Duty game is going to be. Once it releases, everybody's going to hop ship onto it, and so once it does come out and XDefiant has already been released, people are going to forget about XDefiant, and so, of course, I do want to bring up the points that there's a good chance this next Call of Duty game will be dog shit, and I'm saying that as a hardcore Call of Duty fan. You know, I've been following this franchise for 10 plus years, and just seeing where the direction Call of Duty is going right now, they are butchering the franchise hard, and so I will not be surprised if this next game is going to be terrible, and even if it does become terrible, it's possible people will still go back to XDefiant, which could be the case, because that's the thing about XDefiant right now. It's getting a lot of attention from Call of Duty players themselves. And so a lot of Call of Duty refugees may actually switch over to XDefiant if it actually does end up being a pretty decent game at launch, because we're only able to play like the beta or the open session for the game. We didn't have access to every single feature that's going to be there at launch, and so we don't really know exactly what to expect when the final build does come out. And so I really do think it's a huge mistake to release this game before a AAA title like Call of Duty comes out. Let's look at Battlefield 2042 for example. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember if I do believe Battlefield 2042 came out like a week, or it definitely came out before Vanguard did, right? And of course we know Vanguard also flopped as well, but it didn't flop nearly as hard as Battlefield 2042, and I think that's mostly because like there's just no Battlefield community anymore, which sucks. The Battlefield community has like completely depleted, it seems like, and that's really sad. Fortunately, Call of Duty does not have that right now. It still has a community. There's still a community that loves Call of Duty, and they still want to follow it and play the game every single year, where Battlefield, has really just fallen off a lot, even though I hear a lot of good things about Battlefield 2042 right now. But when it first launched, I mean, it was just abysmal. Like, nobody liked the game at all whatsoever, and Battlefield has always been seen as like a competitor for Call of Duty just because it's a military first-person shooter, right? And so seeing that there's going to be another, multiplayer shooter coming out, obviously XDefiant has been created to kind of recreate that 6v6 atmosphere, arcade shooter style that we used to see within Call of Duty. I mean, we still see it to this day, but it's just not nearly as good as what it could be, right? And so I really do think that when people like are grinding Call of Duty, like this next Modern Warfare 3, right? Think about like what you can even do in Call of Duty right now. The prestige system has been completely botched, and we're actually going to be getting a traditional prestige mode in XDefiant, which is a pretty crazy thing to think of. But there's nothing to grind for in Call of Duty anymore. The only thing people ever go for is like the mastery camos: gold, diamond, platinum, Orion camo, dark matter, Damascus, whatever you want to call it, right? That's really the only thing to grind for in Call of Duty. Everything else, there's just nothing else to grind for. And even if there is, right, even if there are like mastery challenges, like, because Modern Warfare 2 does have calling card challenges that you can go for, but all you get is calling cards and some XP reward, which could be useful, could be useless, depending if you reach the max cap for the season, but it's because if you do reach it, that's another thing, is like if you reach the max level for the season, you have to wait until the next season to start leveling up again, so all your XP just goes into the void and it's completely useless. I mean, like, holy shit, like Call of Duty is like really bad when it comes to having a long-term grind for it. It used to be good about that, but now it's just going for the camos and that's it. Once you got all the camos unlocked, you have no reason to play the game anymore. And so perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps I'm wrong about XDefiant getting released in the summer. Maybe it's actually a good thing this game does get released. And I do want to actually counter my kind of argument here within this video. So like, for example, like let's say the game does come out in the summer. It's possible that this next Call of Duty game will be dog shit. A very good possibility it's not going to be very good. And so people will quickly realize how like not good the next Call of Duty game is, and maybe they'll jump back to XDefiant. That's a very good possibility. Another thing is that XDefiant just might have a longer success than I expect it to be. And Ubisoft has like come out with like some certain games that they try to kind of hype up and market a lot, but it doesn't really go anywhere. If I'm not mistaken, Ubisoft also made Rainbow Six Siege, if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of like their golden baby, I feel like, when it comes to multiplayer games. And so another thing is that I don't think a lot of games really come out in the summer. Most video games, especially the big titles like Madden, NBA 2K, the Call of Duty series, they usually come out during the fall, so they always want to release these games before like the holiday season so people can buy them as gifts. And of course, like that gives them the companies a lot more revenue in return. But having games released in the summer has always been pretty rare. And so I think another thing, by having XDefiant getting released in the summer might get it more attention, just because no other games are coming out right now. And so that's also another possibility why it's actually a good thing for it to be released this summer. But for the most part, I really do stand by like not having this game getting released before Call of Duty, just because Call of Duty is just so big at the point where everybody knows what Call of Duty is. We're always like curious what the next title is going to be and what's going to be in it and all that stuff, right? And so once, especially like during the first week that this next Call of Duty game comes out, we're all going to be really distracted and have all our attention on it and completely forget about XDefiant. And kind of going back to what I said earlier, you know, XDefiant is getting a lot of attention from Call of Duty refugees, from people who are still playing Call of Duty right now and people who stopped playing Call of Duty. So I don't know, you guys. I guess things are up in the air. Anything's a possibility. I really do want XDefiant to have a lot of success. I mean, I don't really see myself becoming like a strictly XDefiant YouTuber. I mean, I guess I could. I'd probably be a very niche YouTube channel compared to like all the other Call of Duty channels out there. But Call of Duty has always been my baby, you know, like despite me bitching and complaining about it these last few years, and like it's how obvious that the franchise is just getting worse and worse year after year. You know, Call of Duty really does capture that smoothness that you don't see within any other first-person shooter out there. Not even Battlefield, although Battlefield has gotten a lot better with their gameplay. Their gameplay definitely feels a lot smoother as each new game comes out, but Call of Duty has, just for the longest time, always captured that smoothness you don't see really with any other first-person shooter. And so, anyway, I really do hope Call of Duty does get better, because that is like I said, Call of Duty is my baby. Like, I've been playing it for so many years at this point. It's like the only game I really play. And I do want there to be a competitor for Call of Duty out there, because I think that's part of the reason why Call of Duty has been sucking ass for all these years, is because it hasn't had a good competitor. And so if XDefiant can be a good competitor, then maybe Call of Duty can be good. So I really hope XDefiant's good. I'm looking forward for the game to come out this summer, if it actually does end up come out at the end of summer or something like that. But that's just my opinion on what the biggest mistake is right now for XDefiant. I really don't think it's so much the gameplay and bugs and balancing issues. I really think all that kind of stuff can definitely be taken care of in a quick fashion if the devs are on top of things. But it's just the release date that concerns me on like how this game is being released, just because of how I've seen other games like Splitgate, Titanfall. Oh my goodness. I mean, of course, those games could have had more features to make it more entertaining, but you know, releasing them before like a big AAA title that's usually successful every single year usually doesn't pan out for them. So that's just my concern, and I just really want to express it in this video. And if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you do leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, and also don't forget to open up the description to check out all the links that you can go ahead and follow me on other social platforms like Twitter and TikTok. Even though I don't really upload on there, I really should, and maybe I will, so go ahead and follow me on there. But also, I'll have a link for my last XDefiant video as well. Like I said before, I highly recommend checking it out, and I really appreciate if you guys did. And with that being said, I shall catch you guys later.